What is going on, y'all? Thank y'all so much for joining us. My name is Chris Hennessy, and this is Ending the Stigma, where we just have conversations with people who are justice involved or have been, involved in addiction or drugs or alcohol or anything like that, just to kind of raise awareness and show people that, we do recover. Not all of us are going to be, I'm trying to think of the nice way to say this, dumbasses, for lack of a better word, whenever we get out of recover. And just kind of end the stigma associated with it. And so it's something that's near and dear to my heart. If y'all have been following me for any amount of time since March, especially my LinkedIn people, where I used to post exclusively almost about live streaming, I've been posting about starting The Raven is Here. I've been posting about going to see Ben and Jess Owens and the rest of the We Fight Monsters crew in Memphis. This week it is finally here. We leave on Thursday morning around 6, so we're hoping to be in Memphis between 1 and 1:30. And we're super excited about it. Mom texted me, got me thrown off. So my guest tonight, I met them through, like, my guests the past few weeks have all been like We Fight Monsters people and people associated with Ben and Jess. It's just selfishly from this standpoint of it, from the live stream standpoint of it, like it is an absolute gold mine of guests and friends and things like that. And if there's anybody watching on Facebook, drop a comment, because nobody's commented from Facebook yet. And I don't know if you're here unless you drop a comment. So drop a comment and tell me you say hi. There you go. Actually, it's 2 in a wake up, Tim. We're leaving Thursday morning. 2 days in a wake up. All right, where am I? All right, so my guest tonight, part of We Fight Monsters. They have a cool story. I haven't heard it, but they've told me there's something to do with a T-shirt on Josh Sneed is how they got hooked up with the We Fight Monsters crew. So I'm going to bring out Josh and Julia Mathison.
Hi, everybody.
What's going on? Good. Thank y'all for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we got Lindsay is in the comments. We got Martha Lott is here. Deanna is here. I'm on Facebook, Randy. You didn't know that? Matthew Wallace, Anna Hernandez. I think that's Sneed's mom, isn't it? Lori Hughes. I think it is. So cool. So tell us the T-shirt story and how y'all got hooked up with Ben and Jess and like how that literally changed the trajectory of your life.
Okay, so the T-shirt story started about a week before that in Bible study. We were pointing our purposes and writing it out, like one word and then another word that kind of jives with it.
Mm-hmm.
It was shortly after the Sound of Freedom movie come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had a heart for kids that suffered abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sound of Freedom movie touched me. I took the 4 older kids to see that. And then in the Bible study, we wrote down that. So me and my wife had a random day out. We don't get those very much with just the 2 of us. I wanted to go to one restaurant. It was too full, so we went to another restaurant.
Like turned around in the parking lot.
And
nice.
As we were eating, I said, that guy's got a cool shirt. And it happened to be Sneed. And she's like, well, there's the other guy's got a cool shirt too. Well, then we were standing in line to check out. And I asked him, what's the story behind your shirt? Because Josh Sneed had a Be a Badass, Save a Kid shirt on. And after just watching The Sound of Freedom, that hit home.
Yeah.
So he opened up and talked like an old friend for about 5 to 10 minutes while he's standing in line with a salad bar. And told me who he worked for and what they did. And I was thinking in my head, if I can help out by sharing the message, because I didn't know there was somebody local doing that, or boots on the ground, or financially, if we could, I would do all of that. So we walked outside after I went in and just told the waitress we got their table too, because I loved what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was the end of it. And then she's like, who do they work for? And I was like, shoot. So I had to walk back inside and ask him who he worked for. And he gave me a card.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, thanks. Sorry to interrupt your meal again. And Bubba was there. And I got to meet his son.
Okay.
And I'm like, I just felt like an idiot interrupting it twice. So then I go home and we watch YouTube and scurry the the We Fight Monsters YouTube. We saw Ben and Josh over and over, and Bobbit and Bubba. And then I found them on Facebook. I Facebook stalked them and added both of them as a friend, Ben and Josh. And I'm like, I'm trying not to be a creeper, but I want to be
It's
involved.
hard. It's hard not to with them, man.
Yeah.
Whenever you see the amazingness that they're doing, you just want to follow along. I mean, at the very least, just follow along and watch.
Oh heck yeah! Or spread the message. Help them
Spread the message.
Help them raise a little bit of money for a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, or share a post. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's free and everybody can do it. Not everybody can write a check for tens of thousands of dollars and cover these
Right.
houses, but they can
Right.
sure live it.
You wear and share.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
those shirts have started more conversations. That one guy at the gas station, I wore I hope you win the war
Yeah.
shirt, and he said, how much time do you have? And I said, how much time do you need? I'm here to hear it. Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's a eye-opening shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. And so, like, what happened then? Like, how did you actually make the leap from just Facebook stalking them to being connected with them?
They did an event, Buy Back the Block.
Mhm.
And I brought my oldest daughter there, who happened to, I think she was 14 at the time. And we went there, and I got out, and of course, Sneed come over and gave me a hug right away. And then Ben showed up, and Sneed introduced me to him. And we saw the houses that they're redoing to turn into hope houses, and I got to meet Bobbit, and I got to meet everybody there. Bubba was there again, and
Yeah.
you know, it was just a neat thing. We had dinner with pimps, prostitutes, drug dealers, SEAL Team 6 guys, people from the White House. Everybody was in the same block, and it was just really, really neat to be
Yeah, I
involved in
bet.
that.
Right.
And after that, I told Erica, the daughter that I took with me, I said, well, when I go again, you know, I was teasing her. I said, Ben said, you know, I could bring another kid, so I think I'll bring the other one. And she goes, no, you're bringing me. So she was wanting to help out too. She's got a good heart about it too. So that's what's so cool about this. It's something your kids can be involved in too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, look at Ava. Ava's on the block all the
Oh,
time.
heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's some places I won't take them,
Right.
but
Right.
you know, for safety's sakes. But you know,
You meant red too, right?
yeah, I met Red, and
Okay.
yeah, it's a good bunch of people, and on a block you wouldn't have walked down 6 months prior.
Right.
You know, so it's very neat to see with your own two eyes what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And so one of the cool things about that kind of drew me to y'all, other than just being amazing people, is the fact that, and we'll kind of split this up. We'll let Josh go first, but the fact that Josh has a story, an addiction story and a recovery story, and Julia has never touched anything and didn't even know you whenever you were doing drugs. Y'all, and I'm not going to tell it, but I'm just kind of laying the groundwork for people.
But we were in the
Yeah.
same area at that time.
She was
Yeah,
best friends
we're
with
in
my
the
cousin.
same area. Yeah, that's right. She told me that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Which is good we didn't meet earlier, because she wouldn't want nothing to do with me.
God
That
knew
first
what he was
impression was
doing.
not a good one. If that was the case.
Right. But you just went on to recovery, y'all met and got married, and then I'll let you kind of take it from there. But tell us about like your story, Josh.
Okay, so it started out, I'm from a split family, like most people are these day and age. I lived with my mom for the first about 13 years or so, and there was a lot of instability, a lot of moving. Every 6 to 9 months, we moved into different houses.
Mhm.
And about 13 years old, my dad got custody of me, and I moved down from Minnesota to Tennessee. And it
Mhm.
was a culture shock. It was a very tight rope what I had to walk. In Tennessee, during middle school, we were in a really good youth group. I got saved in 8th grade, and my dad made me, since I was book smart, he made me get A's and B's. He wouldn't settle for anything less.
Mhm.
So I got to graduate with a straight A's, which was awesome, because
Mhm.
when I first moved down here, I didn't turn in anything. You know, I was failing every class, and the teacher gave me principal gave me a second chance. So that was
Yeah.
my first second chance. I've had many of them. But during school, I didn't drink or, you know, go to parties or anything. I was working all summer long and all weekend, every weekend.
Yeah.
So when I got out of school, that little 4-wheeler path I was on in the straight and narrow, I was signed up for the Air Force. I was going to do 6 years in there. I thought that would make me become a man, teach me how to be responsible and stuff. Well, I graduated in May. The first 3 weekends I was out, I was in court. Minor consumption charge, careless driving, and then I had to go back to court for the minor consumption charge because he told me to stay out of trouble, and I didn't. So it was the first 3 weeks. The judge knew me by name. So that was about the only trouble I got in with the law, which, oddly enough, as a teenage man, I wanted to prove that I was a man, and men that I knew had facial hair, and that was, at that time, that's what I thought was a man, or tattoos, or a lot of the men I looked up to, since I had so many different male influences in my life at a young age. Some of them were good, some of them were not good, but a lot of the men I looked up to drank. A lot of them fought, so I wanted to drink and fight. And I ran my mouth a lot, and I got into a predicament where I was fighting 3 people at once that day, supposedly, and that wasn't too fun, but I couldn't back out of it because that would be not a manly thing to do.
Right.
So I heard about this thing that let you fight without feeling pain, and that was methamphetamine. Well, that sounded pretty good to me. So I used methamphetamine, and I ended up not fighting because I went to another party, and after everybody else passed out, I was still high, and I drank the coolers dry. So that automatically made me feel like a man at 18 years old. I was hooked. I was like, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life, was what I was thinking. So I go from, that was my first drug, was methamphetamine. I never used weed. I couldn't stand potheads. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was introduced to that as, I was smoking cigarettes at the time. Can you quit cigarettes? Oh, yeah, I can quit cigarettes. Well, you'll be able to quit meth then. It wasn't addictive, and it was. I mean, that first time, it was.
Yeah.
So the first weekend, it was $25, and I was up all weekend. I used from July of 2003, and I put myself into treatment of October of 2004.
Okay.
So about a year and a half, a year and 4 or 5 months. But I went from $25 a weekend, 1 weekend a month, supposedly, to $50 to $100 a day pretty easily. And I was making 30 grand a year. That's more than I was making. So you get it anywhere you can. You lie, you steal, you cheat, you scam, whatever.
Yeah.
I did a lot of unsavory things. Tried to quit several times. Do it. Grandma's crying. Because both my grandparents were very religious, and they had a tough time with it. And I was always an honest addict, or so I thought. I always told everybody I was on meth, but I told them I was on it once a month. And generally I was on it. I was up 3 to 5 days at a time, sometimes 7 to 10 days at a time. My dealer was worse than me. She was on it for about 30 days at a time she was up. So there was always somebody worse than me, so I wasn't addicted. So tried to quit for everything. Girls, family. I didn't have any kids at the time, thank God. Tried to commit suicide because nothing worked. And then I failed at that. Just depressed, and failing at suicide when that's the only thing you want really makes you feel like you're worthless.
Yeah.
So I had a family member that worked with me, and he just happened to mention in passing, if you're ever struggling, Josh, I'm always here for you. Talk to me. About 3 months later, I took him up on that, and I said, "Are you still open to that?" And he said, "Absolutely. I meant every word of that." I said, "Here's the deal. I've been up for 5 days. I've got a 1/4 gram of meth in a truck, and I'm gonna go use it at break. Help me." He's like, "Okay, don't use it at break this time." And he stayed with me all break throughout the rest of the shift. He met me at my house. Him and another guy helped me clean out my house. They cleaned out all the liquor bottles. They cleaned out all the bongs that I had because by that time I was smoking pot too. And they helped me wash dishes I haven't washed in months, because everything else goes to nothing. You don't care about anything but your next high. So we had Bible verses all around. It was a really good moment. I met my sponsor about that day. I asked him what it took him to quit, and he said treatment, and it's going to be pure hell. And the first day he met me, he told me that, and he was in tears about how bad treatment was for him. And I thought, if this guy cares enough to open up like that, I should give it a shot. So I admitted myself into treatment. We fought tooth and nail to get myself inpatient. So I was in there for 28 days. I'm about 200 pounds now. When I checked myself into treatment, I was 132. So without my shirt on, you could see my heartbeat through my chest. My biceps were as big as my forearms are now, and I still thought I could beat up everybody because that was the way my mentality was. So in treatment, I gained like 30 pounds, and I gained a lot of tools to help me fight this. But tools don't do you any good unless you open up the box and work on it.
Right.
So when we first got out of treatment, I remember my first paycheck, and it was I was on the ground in a fetal position, sweating not to call my dealer. When I had 2 pages front and back of numbers to call, I remembered the dealer's number, not anybody else's number. So it was just, I feel very strongly about supporting the youth in it. And by youth in it, I mean the people that are just getting started. I was 19 when I went into treatment, so I didn't use very long, but I used enough to want to end it. I never thought I'd see 21. I would have bet you everything I had. So at 6 months clean, this guy came. He traveled around the country saying his recovery story, and he shared how he committed suicide in front of his wife, or shot himself with an SKS assault rifle in front of his wife, and had
Apologizing.
Yeah, and then had his whole face blown apart, and getting loaded up into the ambulance without a tongue and saying, "I'm so sorry." That was a God thing. So he was way worse than me, and for him to speak that in front of me at 6 months clean, I had to meet him. So I went and shook his hand afterwards, spent 30 seconds with him, maybe. It felt like 5 minutes, but I told him I was 6 months clean, and he said, "I'm very proud of you." And I was floored because a man just went through all that, and he's proud of, at that time I was 20 years old, and I still look like an addict, at 20. It was just, it touched me. So then that was the first one I Facebook stalked. So then I think I got a Facebook addiction, but I found his book, read his book. It helped me out a lot. It's called Facing the Dragon. That's why I have a dragon on my arm, to face it every day, because I'm not gonna go without that. So that's this one. I gave that book away 1,000 times. Facing the Dragon by David Parnell. It's one of the good reads because that's all you have is time and treatment.
Yeah.
So you can definitely read this, and it's got pictures of it. It's graphic. He's a fellow Tennessean, but then also wanted to know if myth was, because you hear about stuff in the Bible, like 1 Corinthians 10:13. I think it's there'll be no temptation. God won't shut the door without opening up something else.
Yeah, no temptation is befalling you such as has come to man. He'll always give you a way out, or something like that. He won't let you be tempted more than what you can bear. He'll always provide the way out.
Yep.
Yes.
So I got introduced to another one that was wrote by a pastor, Myth Equals Sorcery by Steve Box. This has where in the Bible myth is. It's the devil's drug. You can go and fast for Jesus and pray and spend time in the Word. Well, when you're on meth, you're not eating, and you're basically fasting for the devil. So of course, shadow people. The demons telling yourself, just kill yourself. The world would be better off without you. The hallucinations, all that stuff. It has scriptures of where it talks about the devil's drug. So
Mhm.
that kind of helped make it a full circle for me,
Yeah.
because it was being saved at an early age and then going back to that was neat.
Yeah.
Going back
Well,
to
the roots
real,
were there. And that's the cool
yeah.
thing about God is if you veer off a little bit or a lot, whenever you come back, you don't necessarily start over back here. You
Mm-mm.
pick up right where you left off.
That's how I stay straight, because I know the next time I'm used, I'll die. Whether
Yeah.
it's I'll die in jail, or I'll run off the road, or shoot yourself, or something's gonna happen, or overdose. Now it's all fentanyl. You overdose without even trying. Back when I was
Mhm.
using, you just used too damn much. It wasn't
Mhm.
a fentanyl overdose, an accidental thing.
Right. Yeah, it would like I tell people all the time, like back in our day, we didn't have to worry about there being stuff in there that would kill you. All we had to worry about was it stepped on? Was it cut?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Was
How
it
much
weak?
baking powder in it wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Was somebody
For
ripping
sure.
me off?
Yeah, yeah. So you got clean. How long were you clean before you two met? And like how did that happen?
I got clean. My sobriety date is 10/21/04. We
Okay.
met in January of 11.
2011.
Okay.
I went through a thing with my ex and my son, and at that time I wasn't having any relationships and just done. I was content with it being me and him,
I
Mhm.
was content with
and
it
her.
being me and my dog.
So we went up there for my grandparents' 50th anniversary party, and I got introduced to her from a mutual friend. This is Julia. She's great with kids, and I'm like, that's nice. I need somebody great with kids. And then we got introduced in church. It was the same church we got married at, actually, in Minnesota. And she kept on looking at me the whole time, but she doesn't believe it.
I don't remember.
So my dad was there with me, and we walk out of church, and I told my dad, I was like, she's nice. I'm gonna marry her. Day one, I don't say that. As a man, you don't think marriage at first. But no, day one, I was like,
Whereas
yeah.
I didn't even remember
Yeah.
we shook hands.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. So then
That's
then I added her mom as a friend on Facebook, so I didn't look creepy. Messaged her for a day or two, then added Julia. You know,
Slick.
the Facebook stuff again.
because that doesn't look creepy at all.
No, but her mom and I are tight. But at that
Okay.
time, I was trying not to add her and be a stalker. So we went through the first 10 months of our relationship 1,000 miles apart, which helped us grow emotionally and not physically, which is it's the toughest thing to build on. So we had a great foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got
Yeah,
distracted by
for-
comments.
My comments. And don't worry, dude. I squirrel out on the comments too.
We'll
And I've been
probably
doing
get
this
back to
for
them later.
Yeah.
yeah. I've been doing this for 3.5 years and I still squirrel out on those things sometimes.
Yep.
Who is Matt Mathison? How's he related to you?
That's my uncle.
He's your uncle. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, look who showed up late to the story.
Being a single,
Bob, yeah.
being an only child, my uncle's probably about like as close to a brother as you can get.
Okay. Love it.
So-
That's awesome. So y'all get married.
Yep.
And then tell us like a little bit about, if you want to, you don't have to, because I know it involves your kids, but I mean like a little bit about the adoption and all that kind of stuff.
Allie, I just posted. I used to borrow $4 from her to get a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter to make it through the week because I spent all my money.
No kidding. Peanut butter and bread was how I would come down.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's pretty awesome. When we first started dating, she said that I better love kids because she's got a heart for foster care. I said,
my mom has done foster care for about, at that point I was 27 years. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been much longer. She's not doing it anymore, but she has up until I think last year, if I'm not mistaken.
But at that stage, I was like, I'm young and naive. I could talk her out of that. No, that didn't work.
I was open. I said, really, this is the goal I have. me and my dog, we're
Yeah.
gonna foster kids.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna come along, you better like kids. Which he did have a son, so
Yeah.
I kind of figured he does like kids.
Oh yeah. So we were living in Tennessee when we first got married.
No, you
Okay.
were.
I moved you down as soon as we got married.
And we got married in November, and we moved. I think 2 weeks after we got married, we moved to Tennessee from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that time when we were dating, her mom had a group of siblings
Mm-hmm.
that reminded me of those Despicable Me girls. Just
Mm-hmm.
adored them.
He's the Gru.
I'm the Gru.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got close to those girls, and then we reunited with the birth parents.
Over Christmas.
Yeah, and I moved them down here, and I thought, oh, that's that. It wasn't a few months later, they were back in foster care, and she said, we need to move so we can get them.
I think I was contacted so we reunited in December, and I think I was contacted by mom by April, that she needed help. And I mean, we were close. We had a good relationship. She was always very thankful that her kids were taken care of. We did the best we could, or my mom did at that point. The way I got involved was she did foster care. The kids were with her, and I lived with her, so I helped her out.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
The kids were pulled due to drug use during pregnancy. They were all positive, as far as we know. I don't know what they all were addicted to. I really know 100% what the youngest girl that we have and our youngest boy were addicted to. But we just kind of reunited in December. Then we moved, and then by April she contacted me, and I said, we've moved. I'm sorry. I can maybe get you into the Hope Center here. And we will watch the kids. But of course she didn't want that. She just needed a little break. And I just couldn't give her that break from so far away.
Yeah. So we moved.
Which again, I'm thankful she reached out. She felt comfortable enough, but I felt helpless.
Yeah. So we moved back to Minnesota. She did a lot of the work to get her foster care license.
Wow.
I did some of the work, but
I carried a lot.
Yeah, she carried a lot of hours over, and I did about 20% of the hours that I should have did. And we made it work, and we were placed with the sibling group that I was talking about, with potential permanency and long-term foster care. Yeah.
With 3 of them.
Yeah.
3 of them came within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Of us having the license. So, no, of us applying for the license, getting license in 4 weeks, which through my mom, I knew a lot of, I've had great support through my mom with social workers. And matter of fact, when we drove back to move, I contacted the social worker I still had in my phone, and I said, where are these kids? Because I had received that call in April. And at that point they were looking for permanent placement because they had been left alone and that pulled. I think it was several days, just them and their cousins left alone in the building, and that nobody got out or nobody got in is a miracle.
Yeah. And so y'all got 3 of them within just a few weeks.
Yes. It was a group of 5 girls, sibling group of 5 girls.
Wow.
2 of them went into foster care placement. I don't know how close that time frame was, but they had been pulled from that place and went into care.
Yeah.
And the 3 we ended up with, 2 were together, which is our youngest and middle girl. And then I say youngest, they are 12, 13 and 15. But just to give a kind of like a guidance who's who here. But they were together. Youngest girl, middle girl were together. And then our 15-year-old girl was at that point floating around from home to home, different places. So she came first.
Yeah.
Because she was just floating without anybody, like from place to place. And not that it was bad places, but she came first because they knew that's what we were there for.
I was doing road construction and I'd come home on a weekend and there'd be another kid. And then I'd go to work and I'd come back home and there'd be another kid. Like, all right, she's doing the work.
And pretty quick, pretty quick, it was like, I remember one conversation at the dinner table, and he was about to come home. It was Friday. And we were just sitting there, and they were all trying to figure out what to call him. Because now Cameron, his son, calls him dad. So, you sit there and you have all these little eyes looking at you, and they just can't figure out like where they really belong, how long they're going to stay, things like that. And this is like, this was a dinner table conversation. He walked in and it's like, hi, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just how it was. It was just how it was. And I didn't correct it. You learn that you let them call you what they want to call you for that time being. They are so unstable at that point that you just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
yeah,
what was that like, Josh? Like to have them call you dad right off the bat?
It was good because, like I said, we got them with long-term potential and potential permanency. So you could give your heart to them and not be guarded, and not worry about them pulling them the next day and having your heart broke. We had emergency placements that were like that, and by the time they were pulled, it was a relief. Sometimes, other ones stuck with your heart, but to do foster care well, you have to give your all.
Yeah,
and you can't give your all if you're afraid of getting hurt. So them being permanent potential, you could give your all, and that was a blessing for me because nobody wants to get hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a little bit easier for me. I would say maybe not easier, but it was easier for me because really, and I'm not saying this in any negative tone or however you might want to call it, but this is pretty much like somebody else's kids is all I've known. I've seen it through my mom. You foster them, you reunite, which is the ultimate goal, and it's fantastic if that happens. And I will say, watching, I can probably touch on that again later, but like just now where we're at today and watching families or moms reconnect in recovery with their kids or just mending these relationships like speaks volumes to my heart, because I do say often, and the ladies that do hear me and do listen to me and read with me and I talk to, I do say my kids did not get to experience that. And it's not because it wasn't, I will never say I don't think it wasn't a desire. It was, but they will always wonder.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have that kind of closure. Now they all do know they're adopted. They all do know. Now I'm drifting off a little far. It's a big story, but it was three girls at that point. The older two had been placed with the family that ended up adopting them.
Yeah.
So there was no disruption of placement. They stayed, they were pulled, they stayed, they were adopted. So our kids together, which is neat, the girls share an adoption date.
With the other two, the oldest two.
With the oldest two.
Yeah. And then our youngest got adopted a little quicker because there was no father on the birth certificate. So it just went faster. We got him straight out of the hospital and adopted him just after his first birthday.
Yeah.
That was the first one we adopted, and we became official parents together then. Do you want to tell them about the heart baby and the belly baby?
Yeah. So that was another dinner table conversation was, I don't know how it came about. I think it was Cameron, which is his son, asking me why, or all of them, I think, why Cameron calls dad, but he calls me, so Cameron could not say Julia, so he calls me doula, which is actually kind of neat because it's somebody who delivers babies. He spells it Doola, and he still calls me this, and he's going to turn 16 here pretty quick, but he just always has called me that. So why does he call dad, but he calls you doula? That was the question I received, and we call you mom. So I explained it that they are always and have always been my heart babies.
Mm-hmm.
Born in the heart, not carried in my belly.
Mm-hmm.
They came from the belly of their mom, but
Mm-hmm.
they have always been and will be my heart babies. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how belly babies and heart babies were made.
I love that.
It's just how it was.
Yeah.
You will get those questions because they will wonder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
like I
bet.
said, they have always known. They have always known what happened, or it's not that I said, oh, she just didn't want it. We never spoke bad.
Right.
She's I love her. I will always love her. We pray for her. We talk about her. I to some degree feel very blessed by her because we do not have any kids together in that matter.
Mm-hmm.
This is all I know.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is, it might sound harsh. I don't mean it harsh. Somebody else's babies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And often, we got questions like, why did you adopt before you had your own? They just came first.
Or my favorite, when she's
Yeah.
loading them all into the car, 5 babies in her. Do they all have the same dad?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they do, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, but it was there you go.
Yeah.
I used to go to Walmart or Target because where we live, we were very close to Indian. They're Native American. We're very close to an Indian reservation.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't really take them anywhere because you'd run into people, and they'd be like, hey,
Everybody's
I'm your
related.
cousin. Hey, I'm whatever. And it was not comfortable. And I could just watch people when I walked into Target, watch me with 5 kids by myself because he
Mm-hmm.
was on the road working. I either thought they think I'm doing a whole lot of bad
Mm-hmm.
or a whole lot of good. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's like, or you'll hear, oh, your hands must be, or your hands are full. And I'm like, yeah, but my heart is too. I mean, it's just you get these comments and I'm like,
You
just
had 3 of them in diapers, didn't you, at one time?
3 toddlers. And
Yeah.
then
Now we got 4
Wow.
teenagers, which is more stupid.
they're all a year apart. They're all a year apart. Yeah. So, and this is where I come in with other than being married to Josh and hearing stories, my only drug related experience is working with the newborn. We picked up
Mm-hmm.
That was-
severely addicted to meth.
Yeah.
And opiates, I think, wasn't it?
And I think, he's turning 10 in August. I think just simply at that time, nobody really was aware how I don't know if people maybe that's tough for me to say, but I don't know that people even really knew like the effects of it or what it
Mm-hmm.
did or the symptoms or how long it's going to last, or because he stayed in the hospital 5 days longer than he should have.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me he was done detoxing. Come to find out, I walked with that baby for 5 months.
Mm.
I mean, I feel like I walked for 5 months straight.
Mm-hmm.
Because he screamed and he couldn't regulate his temperature and he was had the shakes and arching, and I mean just a lot.
But as a user, that's the last thing I would think about, is how it affected my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never thought smoking that blunt or doing that line would affect anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always lied to myself saying it was only me that was affected.
Yep.
You guys are all uptight and butthurt about me using. It's my life. Stay out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But parents and grandparents and family members and friends going to the altar and praying for you to open your eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something I didn't see until after the fact.
Right.
Because I was very self-absorbed.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's exactly the opposite. So in treatment, we got the option to go to church, which I did. And I was in treatment with another addict who happened to be a Christian, and she was a pill popper. So that's how I learned to take pills in treatment, and I still can't take pills very good. But so I asked her if I could, I'm good with science, I'm good with math. I need it in black and white. I can't do the childlike faith. And we just had a conversation in treatment. So that Sunday, I'm sitting in church, and a lady taps my shoulder from a couple of rows back and says, "I don't know why, I've never done this. Here you go." And it was a letter in black ink that said, "If you will only let me, I will use you to touch so many people." And at that time, so I carried that letter around in my wallet for years. Because it was in black and white and a kick in the face is what that was.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
So I carried that in my wallet for years, and then doing the adoption thing, I was like, this is my helping so many people. And inspired by David Parnell doing the speaking thing, at 20 years old, I got to speak to a couple of high schools and give my story. And being 20 years old talking to high school kids has a lot more weight than being 60 years old talking to high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that twice. And then I went to a concert and drank alcohol, and I stopped talking in front of schools because I didn't want to be a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
So it was I didn't want to lead somebody astray because I wasn't straight. I was still clean. I had been clean for over a year at that time, but I drank.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have that in my head. No, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I can't stand a hypocrite because you won't take any advice from a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave the speech in front of high school because when you first got on meth, you got told how to hide your symptoms, how to hide that jaw going like this, how to hide your pupils dilate, and always carry Jolly Ranchers so your mouth can do something other than do the tweaking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke about that. I said, everybody wants to tell you about how to hide it. Here's the symptoms. And I went detailed symptoms because one of the first things they tell you is you lose a lot of weight, or you can stay up all night and study if you're on meth, or you can have relations forever and not finish the job until whenever. That's if you can get it up. They don't tell you that part.
They don't tell you that part.
No, so I'm 20 years old in front of high school kids saying that.
Yeah.
I was like, can I say that? Beforehand, you can say whatever you're comfortable with. All right, don't tell me something. Because if somebody would have told me that wouldn't work, I would have listened. At least I think I would have listened.
Yeah. Especially at that age.
Yeah, at 20, you're thinking that's the last of my worries, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
So I checked in at 19. I had a $300 car, and I would never in my wildest dreams thought I would have been married, or thought I'd had a family, or thought I'd had somebody that loved me or respected me. Or I got called the one weird comment I got that stuck with me. I got called wise the other day, and I've never considered myself wise.
Yeah.
And it still sticks with me. I'm like, that tickles me. Because, I mean,
he's got a lot of he does have a lot of wisdom, and he's got a lot of visual examples of things. I mean, even teaching the kids and teaching lessons and stuff. I mean, there were parenting things where you wear glasses with words on that block your vision.
Yeah. So we had the pair of safety glasses, and my daughter's all in basketball. And I had the pair of safety glasses, and I put Post-it notes on it. New Nike Jordans, new basketballs, and I put it on her, and I was like, let's go out and play. And I smoked her. I was like, what's the matter? Can't you see? Because I had God and stuff like that in there too. But I said, now take off all the not important stuff and play me again. So then she only had family and God blocking her view instead of all this other stuff. And it stuck with her.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. I would have sucked not being able to see. I sucked anyway.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
I mean, you got to be visual. I mean, that's what I'm a visual learner. That's what sticks with me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, well, we were comfortable, like in our marriage. We've been married however many years. I don't want to screw it up.
2011.
Yeah.
13 this year.
Yeah, 13 this year. So we get in a stage where
that's not very wise of you to not know that.
No.
Well, I didn't want to say 12 and be wrong, or 13 and be wrong. But like, you get into the stage in your relationship where you just depend on somebody. You know what they're gonna do, you know kind of how they're gonna act, and you kind of go through the motions. It wasn't a bad part in our life, but just kind of we were focused. I mean, we were surviving. We were still close, but it wasn't anything to be very proud of about the work we were putting in. So then, when we both started Facebook stalking Josh and Ben, and the We Fight Monster stuff, our conversations opened up a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
We got to teach the kids. We watched most of their videos with the kids, and we got to open up about stuff that was really important in your life. So being able to talk more about that, and like she's involved with the girls too, the women in Memphis. She understands more now what an addict's brain looks like, where she just knew mine.
Right.
And now
that's a male brain.
Yeah, and it's different anyway. But now she can kind of see kind of some of the strings that are the same. Some of the things that go on in her, and the way we look at stuff is similar between a lot of us. And she can, she's always wanted to empathize. She's always wanted to know about my addictions in order to love the whole me, and not just the me that she sees, because I've been clean since 2004. We got together 7 years later. She doesn't. I mean, that was the first thing I told her about. I said, this is my past. Much like her and the kids. You're like it or not. That's fine. Quit now while we're ahead. And she asked me, are you ever going to use again? And I said, I haven't yet. And I can't answer that. I don't know. I hope not. But what happens if you lose a kid? What's your first instinct going to be? To make yourself feel better. It's not, I mean, being over 19 years clean now, I would hope that my first instinct would be lean on God, lean on friends. But who knows how you're going to react, and I don't ever want to find that out. Nobody wants to do that. But I told her I haven't used yet, and I've got through a lot of stuff. But I never say never, because but for the grace of God, there go I. I mean, it used to make me so mad at Walmart, because you can pick them out from a mile away. The addicts, the people that are high, the kunais, the freaking, you can pick them out. And I used to be so upset because they were doing it and I wasn't. Or an ex told me not to drink while she drank wine. I'm like, oh, you don't tell me not to do something if you're doing it. I can't stand a hypocrite.
I mean, and when we met, we had no picture frames in the pictures.
No glass in the picture frames.
No glass in the picture frames. Sorry, yeah.
Do you know why?
Pictures. No light bulb. He wouldn't change the light bulb.
Do you know why?
I know why the light bulb. You didn't want, and the frames, I'm guessing, so you wouldn't have something to chop it out on.
Yeah, I wouldn't chop my meth up on the picture frame glass, and I wouldn't change the light bulb because I wouldn't make a meth pipe out of it. I had to call my family members and say, come and change my light bulb. Seriously? Yeah, come and change my light bulb. This is a trigger for me.
I mean, that was all new to me.
I mean,
I was like, what?
I got to keep myself straight. And I don't, in treatment, I'm like, I can make you a bulb if you want to do it for like a demonstration type thing. They go, no, you're not, because you're not going to go start again. Okay. I was trying to be helpful because I wanted to spread the word, because, when you're young in that, you want everybody to catch that fire, and you walk very confidently right into a trap. Because that was the only friends I had. I sat at my dealer's house clean, and somebody smoked right beside me, and she'd slap him upside the head and say, hey, he's clean. Don't do that crap around him. Which is insanity. Just like Ben going to the same streets. after being only clean for 4 or 5 years, I couldn't. I mean, I had to ride with 2 of my cousins to go to Thanksgiving dinner because my aunt, who's cooking Thanksgiving dinner, lived 2 miles from my dealer, and I couldn't go past a certain bridge without shakes and without sweats. And that was after a year or 2 clean. I was still
Wow.
that in control of it. And then what was it? Like now, the cravings get less. Like I might have a craving once a year. I might not have a craving this year. And what I was watching the stupid documentary of
Breaking Bad is what you
no
yeah.
Breaking Bad didn't bother me, and it bothered my cousins, and it didn't bother me because I wasn't a cook. I stopped a week before I cooked and a week before I did favors for better drugs. So I stopped a week before I got an STD I couldn't get rid of, and a week before I got felony time over my head. Now I've been chased by the cop, or I've had cops behind me with an 8-ball in my pocket, thinking I'm gonna have to eat this if they pull me over. But they didn't, thank God. So I've never got in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
Which I mean is something that I am very thankful for.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't have to go through that explanation, everything. Now, people see me, and I got told, well, he doesn't look like an addict, which is good. Because people in the same town that I used it with, they still think I am, because I was, and they still are. Because if they can't change, why should you?
Right.
They won't ever believe you're going to change.
Right. Yeah, 100%, man. We're getting close to being out of time, so before we do, I want to hit real quick on Julia having such a heart for the addicts and for the women, and just like people in general. But I want you to describe her the way that she said she couldn't, and then I want to give her a minute to talk about it.
I've told her all along, her biggest strength and her biggest weakness is her heart. She gives and gives and gives, and very rarely does she get back the same that she gives. So it's a constant letdown. Like, am I good enough? So now she's doing with the women in Memphis, and my friends here, our friends here, people are pouring back into her and building up her confidence through all this stuff too. Not that she has anything to do with, I mean, she shouldn't be confident, or she should be confident anyway, but it's always self-doubt. I mean, just like me, I have self-doubt too. Very big public speaking fears and stuff like that, but once you get going, it's fine. And I've seen her grow as a spiritual leader in the last, they met in December, so in the last 6 months, 7 months. And this kind of has, like I said, changed our trajectory and gave us a purpose other than just being father and mother, or husband and wife, or co-workers. You know,
like it's given me a new sense of, not that I didn't know where I belonged, or it's given me a whole new sense of belonging, a whole new sense of purpose. Because I mean, we all have a purpose. I am a big believer in that. We all are given a purpose, and it took me a while. I knew what my purpose was, but to which extent it could go, I wasn't able to understand. Nor did I really see. I mean, I get the chance now to see results of what I'm pouring in. The water I'm pouring in is reaching growth. And then, when the plant gets too big for the pot, you take either part of the plant and put it in a new pot, or you move it in a bigger pot. I mean, however, it's just like, I guess you could call it, I don't know. I mean, the offspring of that plant, it goes on and it feeds into other people. Now, I come at this, my only experience, and I'm not saying this to sound nosy, not nosy, like stuck up or whatever, but like, I'm not saying it like that or downgrade anybody else, because I think, we have to go through things to find our purpose to help others. I've went through things, not drug related, but I think anybody has gone through something. So just to be able to watch what you pour in to take such fruit, not right away, but it takes a little bit. I mean, if you plant a seed, the seed has everything it needs to grow. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I just recently thought about it. A seed also needs to die first before it blooms. So,
Mm-hmm.
this is where, like, I think you have to go through hardship before you can grow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, it's just I was scared when I felt the nudge. I was scared to even start. I had a conversation with my mom on the phone, and she said, "Well, you do know if you do that, I mean, this is just your path opening up." I said, "I'm
Mm-hmm.
scared." And she's like, "Well, just don't be and, go with it. If you do something, though, that's out of love, out of care, out of connection, out of like for other people, you will feel some attacks." And I always say, like, my rocker has been shook. And where I was sitting, like, "Ooh, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe this isn't right." But then you see the results, and it's right.
I think that's a good thing, because if Satan leaves you alone, you're not doing anything to rock his boat. And when he starts
Yeah.
attacking, that's when a miracle is going to happen, because you caught his attention. He doesn't want to lose people from hell.
Right.
I've learned a lot about myself. Or, I come at this with a non-altered brain. Like, my brain hasn't been under drug influence, hasn't been altered,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, stuff dies and won't be rebuilt, because once those connections are gone, you relearn, but you can't like replace them. They're
Mhm.
gone.
Right.
It's like Christmas
Right.
lights. They just
And
don't come back on.
it's for me, I just learn how to look at it differently. Like, we talk about,
Yeah.
like, being held accountable, or if you say you're there at a certain time, for me, you better be there at a certain time. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'll be there in 4 hours later when I'm done laughing, or, whatever. It's like, no, you like you say you're here. But I learn a lot too. I mean, I've learned a lot more understanding, and like where he gives away books, I now give away devotionals. I've been big on that. It's been amazing to see. I've started reading back in December a devotional, and just through that, people, when we shared about how we read, or how much we read, or what we read, um, we caught interest. People
Mm-hmm.
saw the post, and they're like, "What's this devotional? What's the book?" And for me, that is so good to see. I mean, I don't necessarily be like, "I'm right here, I'm going to help you." No, they're reaching out because they're
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
And since then, I mean, I'm right now going through a phase where I feel another push, and I just haven't acted on it because I'm scared. But I should know that I don't need to be. But
Yeah.
it's growing, so it's getting bigger, and I want to get a little bit more out of it. But for me, it's just beautiful. I mean, I can, I'll send out all the devotionals I need to. I mean, if that gives you something to hold on to and get help from, I'm here for
Mm.
it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And I cannot wait until Sunday whenever we get to have breakfast. Like, that's going to be
Yes.
awesome. That's going to be
Mhm.
cool.
We may wish it never end, but I guess it probably has
I
to.
know. I know. We have a 7-hour drive ahead of us. It'll
Yeah.
have to end at some point. Before we go, is there anything else either one of you wants to say? Want somebody to know something you didn't get to say that you wanted to?
I think that as men, we're held at a higher standard too, because God is our heavenly Father. And as a father, you're the child's first inkling to what a father is. So if you leave a
Mm-hmm.
bad taste in their mouth, they're going to have a tough time going to the heavenly Father when their earthly
Mm-hmm.
father is a piece of dirt. And I tell my
Mm-hmm.
sons that too. I said, you have to set the example of what God is. Like, be God. Like, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But be that pillar of strength, accountability, unwavering love that your child can depend on. And that's the greatest job I have. The greatest blessing I have is to be a father to those kids and a
Mm-hmm.
husband. But it both goes hand in hand. So I don't want to be the reason my kids don't know Jesus. I don't want to give them that bad taste of a father.
For me, it's like, I mean, don't hold back. If you feel like you can give and give back, go. Because send me. I mean, I was afraid I couldn't relate, but you'll always find something you can relate to. Always. I mean, it doesn't need to be, the conversations I have are not necessarily drug related. It's the after. Like, how do we deal with being a wife, being a mom, being a friend? Like, what does it mean? Because I mean, for so long, it wasn't there. Nobody they weren't able to receive, what it could be like. It's like, for me, the biggest thing, I think, what I've learned is, even though I've never been in anybody else's shoes, it does not mean that I cannot walk with them and be there. And,
Come on.
Boy,
that needs to go on a
it.
shirt. That needs to go on a shirt. Just because I've never been in your shoes doesn't mean I can't walk with you.
No, she has an empathetic heart.
Man, I love
She might not have experienced it, but she has a love.
Yeah.
You better write it down somewhere, because I'm going to forget.
Yeah.
Hold
that thought. Yeah, man. And we're live. I can't even pause the damn thing. Just because I've never been in your shoes
doesn't mean I can't walk with you. You don't always have to have something to say. I mean, there's been moments where I just sat. I couldn't say anything. I just sat and listened, I guess.
Sometimes it's all you need is an ear.
That's it, man.
Or a shoulder to cry on.
Well, and really, no judgment. No judgment. Listening to not judge. Or to not listening. How do they say it? Don't listen to respond. Just listen to receive. Or
to listen.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And show them through actions, not through words. Show them how to be that friend. Be there. Show up. Yeah. I mean, don't just say you're going to do it. Show up.
Do it.
Stop talking. Show up.
Yeah. Kara's tagging our merch girl already. I love it. So the original plan was to go live every night from Memphis. Ben sent over an itinerary today, and y'all, we are going to be stinking busy. So I don't know that we'll be live every night. I will be live Saturday afternoon early. I think he put it on there at 5. I'll be live with Jade Rogers, live from their house. We're going to go live. We're going to set up at their house, and instead of there being me talking to you virtually, she's going to be sitting right next to me, and I'm going to have my setup and everything. So, nice. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Jade has an amazing story. Like, I've heard just a little bit of it on YouTube, and I can't wait to just meet her and hug her neck and listen to it. So Saturday might be the only time we go live from Memphis, y'all. I know I've been hyping it up, saying we were going to do it every night, but I don't think that's going to happen.
If you don't have time, that means you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing.
We're doing what we're supposed to do. Yeah,
you're putting in the work.
And we have such limited time with them, man. It's not like we're trying to soak up all we can to bring it back here.
And a lot.
In 3 days, basically 3.5 days. So, yeah. I think that's it. I don't have anything else. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. I know it was a little bit out of your comfort zone, but it was a nudge and y'all took the step. So y'all have an awesome story and I love it. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that is it. We will see y'all Saturday at 5:00 live from Memphis with Jade Rogers. And that's it. See y'all later.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.